Hi, I'm Parker, and I'm at my humble home studio in Los Angeles, California. This is the third and final video in my series on creative vocal processing with Soundtoys plugins. Today we're going to explore how to use effects to make a vocal chop more exciting. The vocal chop drop has been done to death, but it can still be really effective because the sound of the human voice carries so much emotion. And since we don't have to worry about keeping lyrics intelligible, we can utilize the full potential of the Soundtoys toolset. I started off by downloading a wordless vocal stem from an online sample library. I can be impatient. A lot of the time I just randomly cut up a sample, copy and paste it out of order, adjust the pitch, and try and force happy accidents. This section should feel cathartic, open, expansive. To get that sound, I'm going to want to use a few Soundtoys plugins simultaneously. That's where Effect Track comes in handy. Let's search for it and drag it onto the track. Alright, let's start with Echo Boy. That delay feels a little long and distracting for me, so I'm going to bring it down to like 34 milliseconds and cut some low and high, turn up the feedback. Changing the style adds the distinct character of various hardware units, and turning up the saturation really makes that audible. Adding the Echo Boy definitely made this feel three-dimensional. Let's give it even more space with Superplate. Sounds beautiful, but it's a little too wet. Adding some pitch modulation and filtering can help smooth out the reverb and reduce resonances. And if you click the tweak menu, you get even more options for EQing your reverb. Let's hear how that sounds. I'm going to add some chorus and stereo widening with MicroShift. And then the focus knob determines the frequency at which the widening kicks in, mostly spreading highs here. I want to keep this vocal up front, so I'm going to go to the master mix knob and let a little bit more dry signal through overall. I'm liking how this sounds. It's big, soft, wide. Let's hear the original. Too narrow. I want some more extreme processing. Often I'll do this by creating a return track and sending audio to it, but in this case, I wanted to adjust the actual clips too, so I've duplicated the track and added a new instance of Effect Track. And after 10 seconds of searching, I landed on the Open Spaces preset. You can hear Tremolator, Superplate, Filter Freak, and Echo Boy all interacting to create these stuttering reflections. And I didn't have to think too hard about any of this because Effect Track comes with amazing presets. Then all I had to do was automate the recycle and the dry wet knobs to control the amount of feedback I wanted. Now here's a move which, if you've been watching this series, is probably pretty familiar to you. Adding Little Alter Boy and then using automation to really transform and sculpt the sound. You can see the parameters adjusted here, the mix and the pitch. That fast increase in pitch really makes a screaming-like sound. Next I added Devil Lock to give this sound some attitude and bring up some of the low-level ambience. The crush and crunch are adding compression and distortion respectively, and then I can kind of tame those parameters with the darkness knob, a low-pass filter, and the mix knob. Finally, I've got Primal Tap, and I'm just creating some stereo width by delaying the right channel and cutting a little bit of low end. This section felt like it needed to be a collage of different voices, so I grabbed another sample. So I'll just hide this take lane with Command Option U, and then you can hear how I cut this up. You can hear that this voice has its own timbre, a kind of a chirpier sound, and I got that in part by repitching these clips. This is down 2, this is down 7, this is up 4. I'm imagining a bright, sparkly space here, so So I'm going to search for Effect Rack, drag it onto the track, and I remembered that Soundtoys Holiday 2022 preset pack had some really cool sounds. Let's just go through these and get inspired. Oh, that's beautiful, but it's a little warm and retro. That's sick. I'm definitely gonna use that on something someday, but it's not for this application. Oh yeah, that's the kind of bright, expansive sound I had in mind. Let's hear that in the full mix. Then I started experimenting with a third vocal sample. Don't panic, breathe. But I just ended up using this little bit here. To add some stereo movement, I pulled up PanMan and went for the fast shimmer preset. All these small textural elements really add up and make the track feel like it's alive and evolving, like its own audio ecosystem. To create momentum into the next section, I thought there could be some sort of swell, so I grabbed another sample. Obviously not the right key, but it's the vibe I like, so let's make it work. I'm reversing it, and then you can see I've also pitched it up 6 semitones. Great! Now I'm ready to have some fun with Effect Rack. Actually, I'll spare you my goofy experimentations here. It didn't sound that great, but this Reverb 201 preset sounds awesome. It's the exact solo amount of ambience it needed, and I also added Primal Tap because I love Primal Tap. You can watch my last video for more on this unit. Yeah, that ambient decay is where you hear the magic of this preset. I was hearing a subtle fluctuation in volume at the end of this sample and thought, why don't I exaggerate that with tremolator? So I put it on the track and then I automated the depth, which is the intensity of the effect, basically like the dry wet knob. The red line of automation shows the amount of tremolo increasing and then dropping to 0 so that I didn't affect the tail too much. So let's listen to this whole section now and hear how it loops back around to the verse.
It's hard to find under the stars up in the sky.
You know I don't play right. I'll put up a good fight. Just give me the word.
That wraps up this series on creative vocal processing. Hopefully you've come away with some new ideas about how to use Soundtoys' amazing plugin suite. If there's any features or plugins that you'd like to learn more about, drop me a line in the comments. Thanks again for watching.